The Democrat Party and media are terrified of putting a spotlight on E. Jean Carroll and her case, where Trump allegedly owes her $85 million, though he's not paying a dime. They don't want to look at it again to find out that it was a completely, I don't know about illegal, but practically an illegal case. Welcome to In Exile. We're actually going to spend more time with Nancy Pelosi, but I thought I'd use one drunk has-been old lady to introduce the other drunk has-been old lady. So here's E. Jean Carroll, drunk has-been old lady number one.
Well, it relates to my situation in that 24 women. 24 women!
She said she's like a female Foster Brooks. Remember him from the Hollywood Squares? 2,000 women. Get me more box wine, please, from the Trader Joe's.
Have come forward and accused Donald Trump of sexual abuse, sexual assault, general assault. 24 women.
Her speech is more full of slurs than David Duke.
Some say it's more than that. Some say it's way more than 24. Some say it's 48 women. Mm-hmm. And he and Epstein were like 9 and 10.
And she goes to Epstein Island, which is why we continue to mock Epstein as people tried distracting you. And I tried to protect you guys, keep you from going off on that wild Democrat goose chase. And I think we're vindicated now that is a nothing burger, and that's why she's bringing it up.
They use women to keep score. They really don't care about women in this country. They just really do not care.
This is the woman who promoted being assaulted as kind of sexy. That's what she calls, and she says that they don't care about women.
Women don't care. And poor Mike Johnson. When is he ever going to let the House come back? When is he going to do it? Because if he does, he's in deep, deep shit.
Poor Mike Johnson. See there, and Mike Johnson, again, we predicted, he's one of the most important men, one of Trump's allies, and people jumped on him too. Also completely wrong. Mike Johnson may want a government shutdown to avoid the Epstein files vote. They posted, this is all lies. And speaking of all lies, we're going to go to the source of all lies. It's Nancy Pelosi. Now, this one is interesting. It says, back to this again, Trump needs to sue her. She's been directed by the DNC and Nancy Pelosi, obviously. So they have something to back up the false narrative. This is in response to that Epstein file claim by E. Jean Carroll. The reason why I'm showing you this is Nancy Pelosi back in the day, and she gives you the Democrat agenda. This says House Democratic agenda. Listen carefully to this tactic of how Democrats work. She actually reveals what they've been doing to this day, how it's all media manipulation. Watch this.
We call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and if they see it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
Now, she's accusing Republicans of it, but she's breaking down that all of this is scripted. All of this is, she's using marketing terms. She goes, it's merchandised. That's a marketing term, merchandise. First, you do a wrap-up smear before the weekend's done. Then you merchandise it over the weekend. And then your media runs with it. And we all know who actually runs the media. She was back then, this is like 10 years ago, claiming the Republican Party runs media, which is hilarious. But we've got Nancy Pelosi caught in 3 different lies. This does involve Mike Pence also. This is the head of security. This is former police chief Sund, who was there on January 6th, had 3 phone calls with Nancy Pelosi. He's going to go into this. Just remember what Nancy Pelosi said about the merchandising of all of these lies.
Chewing me out about why I lied to Vice President Pence, why I gave him false information.
Let's talk about after the fact, following January 6th. you were ultimately forced to resign. I mean, what happened there? How did that unfold?
So I'm up all night. I don't think I slept for about 38 hours. We're briefing members of Congress the very next day about, what our plan is for the Capitol. We had got them back into session. It's interesting because, I kept getting a call from Vice President Pence asking me to come over to a secure location. He didn't leave the Hill to a secure location to brief him. I kept telling him I can't leave the command center right now. So finally at about 5 o'clock, we started getting things under control. About 5:15, I went ahead and said, I'm going to go ahead and go over and brief him. I notified the 2 Sergeant Arms. I go over and brief him, and he gets Pelosi on the phone because my information tells me we can get them back into session at 7 p.m., 7:30 at the latest. He gets Speaker Pelosi on the phone, sets it right on the ledge, like right between us. Briefs her, I brief, as well, and they decide, okay, great, she's going to brief the leadership. I'm walking out of that meeting, and I'm walking back through a tunnel, and I run into Mike Stenger. He's walking over to brief the Senate, asked me, will you come brief the Senate with me? I said, not a problem. He's my boss. And someone hands up a phone, and it's Speaker Pelosi, and she is mad as can be. She is chewing me out about why I lied to Vice President Pence, why I gave him false information. They're being told they can't get into a session for at least 24 hours.
This is the story, by the way. It also shows Mike Pence. He's a lot of things. Terrible Republican, terrible politician, might even be a bad person. He's not a traitor. I'm going to show you more evidence that Pence was as much a victim as a perpetrator on that day because he was not aware. He was getting information from this guy. And I'm going to show you in the next clip how even Mike Pence's phone was taken, confiscated, just like Trump's was, as part of he was part of a trap set by Nancy Pelosi. Now, I always thought Pence played along too much with the Democrats. He should have known better that he was being used. That's what I mean by he's a terrible tactician, a terrible politician. He should have known better, and his career is done because of it. He got his punishment. But, there were people I heard Lynn Wood and people say hang him and stuff like that. I got no room for that, guys. That's just loopy. So I'm trying to bring people back into sanity. You can criticize Mike Pence without calling for his death.
I said, no, ma'am, my information's correct. That's the second time I talked to her, and she hangs up the phone.
What?
Yeah. So I walk over to the
long.
Senate. They end up getting me back on another conference call to brief all of leadership before we go in and brief the Senate. I never did brief the Senate. Actually, I had to leave to come back to the command center. So there's 3 times I talked to Speaker Pelosi. So the next day, we're briefing members of Congress. We're trying to set up a meeting with Speaker Pelosi's office to do a brief there. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm briefing Senator Blunt. I'm in a conference room, and I see my chief of staff step out. She steps back in. And she says, you need to step outside. I got to talk to you real quick. And she notifies me that Speaker Pelosi is getting ready to go on national TV and call for my resignation. Yep. I had enough time to notify my wife. I wasn't even going to go and watch the news press conference.
Nancy Pelosi had to have him resign to remove the evidence. She could not have him speaking to the public. So I believe that's why she had him step down.
And I expected,
You knew it was
we kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But my chief of staff and my general counsel said, now let's go in and watch it. I watched it, and 23 minutes into the press conference, someone asks, about what about the security failures? And she blatantly comes out and says, it was a failure of leadership at the top of Capitol Police, calls for my resignation, says it was a failure on my part, and then says, besides, he's never even called me since this occurred.
Oh, that's a 3-time lie because she talked to him on the phone 3 times. And she threw him under the bus, used him, threw him under the bus, could not have him go on media against her. And this is back when Republicans were like being gentlemen. They're like, we're not going to speak out against leadership. Nowadays, it's all bets are off. Here's an interesting one. This is Dr. Dave Bratt, who was on Steve Bannon's show talking about Pence's phone being confiscated along with Trump's.
Officials in the Biden White House personally assisted the FBI in securing Trump and Pence's government phones. President Trump and Pence's government phone.
Now, if Pence was in on it, and this was some kind of a conspiracy organized by Pence, which I don't believe, like I said, not a good man, not a good politician, but he had his phone confiscated also. They thought he was guilty right along with Trump.
This is all from Grassley, by the way. Records Grassley made public last month showed the FBI also placed 92 Republican-linked individuals and Republican groups, such as Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, under Arctic Frost's investigative scope. And just, why is this huge and why is it not out there? Go out to Google it, go out to Wikipedia, And here's what they say. Arctic frost is an informal label for an investigation that involved FBI preliminary toll analysis, phone metadata checks related to several Republican U.S. senators in the context of the post-2020 election inquiries.
So that's Google and Wikipedia, and YouTube is owned by Google. So I'm here representing the truth and getting out that they need to update their information on Arctic frost. Now that it's been completely exposed, it's not just an informal investigation. It has a name. It was organized. It was greenlit by Christopher Wray, greenlit by Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco. It's an official investigation, and they need to update their data. And I'm part of that because I'm here doing the news. I might be the first one to talk about it and get this on a Google platform to correct the record on the news that they wouldn't report on for the last 4 years. But it wasn't just Mike Pence and Trump's phones. They were able to spy on 90 right-leaning charity organizations like TPUSA, and who knows what information they got from Charlie Kirk and all those people. But it shows they were oppressing Charlie Kirk even 4 or 5 years ago.
Right? So nothing ever reported by the mainstream media. This is huge.
No, that's why you guys need to subscribe, because we are going to keep reporting on this. Meanwhile, here's Trump on Arctic frost. Trump wrote, just in. Documents show conclusively that Christopher Wray, deranged Jack Smith, Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, and other crooked lowlifes from the failed Biden administration signed off on Operation Arctic frost. So Google and Wikipedia, you need to update your information. You're still behind this channel. How can I be one barely literate comic book artist beating you to facts with the news almost every day? They spied on senators and congressmen, women, and even taped their calls. They cheated and rigged the 2020 presidential election. These radical left lunatics should be prosecuted for their illegal and highly unethical behavior. So that's Trump calling on them. Now, the future of the Democrat Party, this is James Carville doing scare stories with Jen Psaki. Carville and Democrats are terrified, and they absolutely hate Trump, and they're going to tell lies about them, trying to get you scared just in time for Halloween. And look, Peppermint Patty over there looks very in her fall colors.
You're saying he hates the United States. He hates the Republican Party. He hates any kind of system that we have here, any kind of rules, and they're gonna. I hate to be like this.
James Carville hates the English language.
Being an old man, but I'm telling you, we at a really dangerous point in the United States. And I believe that from the bottom of my heart. And
that's good news, guys. This is a Democrat. When Democrats lose their party, when their party isn't going to ever win again. So just take this as, it's not that America is over. Translation, I'll translate into English because I know it's very hard to understand Carville. America is safe and doing great. The Democrat Party is done for good, and that's why he's saying we're in a dangerous place.
A lot of other people I know that are really smart, historians, people that know this, totally agree with me.
The smart people really agree with me. I like that he's talking to Jen Psaki. Not you, Jen. Smart people agree with me. Historians, college people, he means. College people. I know a lot of smart people, and they all agree with me. You know, guys, I've never once said that. All the smart people agree with me. I would never say that. It's so arrogant, first of all. And I don't care what smart people say, and I don't care who agrees or disagrees with me. How's that?
It's bad. It's dangerous.
Dangerous.
I think there's no question about it. And it's this very difficult line between not wanting people to feel scared and wanting to be direct about what the hell is happening, which is what we try to do.
You have to be scared. Oh, Bigora, my frosted Lucky Charms. I think we found a leprechaun there. It's how green is my valley. They're after me, Lucky Charms. Jen Psaki, it's not St. Patty's Day yet.
But the good news,
you have no option. I'm sorry. I like hope, and I'm the man from Hope, and the Obama Hope poster, Hope is gone.
Hope is gone. Yes. Oh. You want Democrats in despair. To my Republicans in despair? Wrong. Wrong. You're being like James Carville. He's like, I'm in despair. I have no hope. They gave up that hope and change poster, man. They're tearing that down from the walls. Next step, by the way, is going to be absolute socialist violence in the streets. But I just want to document this and enjoy this moment of James Carville having no hope. They're tearing down the hope and change, all the nice posters. They don't believe anymore.
Right? Hope is not anywhere around here. We're up against as a country. We're up against the wall, and right now there is no hope. There is fear, and people are justified to be afraid, and they need to do everything that they possibly can, and
including violence. James Carville, we're up against a wall. Do everything that you possibly can. There's fear. You ought to be a fear. I like this marketing. It does prove that they're
own simple way to profess their love for this country, their love for the traditions and the laws and the customs and the history that we have.
Yeah, he's saying act out in violence in the name of love of your country.
And the progress we made, because it's all at it's as likely as not that we blow a gasket. And I know I'm being somewhat hysterical here, but I can't. I'm an old man. There's nothing else. I get to say what I want. I'm just telling you, I'm one scared dude, really scared.
Oh, yeah, stay scared. Well, I like that he says that as an old man, too. I got a lot of old people in my audience. We're all old. I'm 59 years old. I'm an old man. I'm scared. I'm happy we got to live to see these days, because these are the good times. If you're scared and you're old, you're on the wrong team, guys. Get happy. These are the good times. I mean, we still need to repent. Don't get me wrong. America has a spiritual cancer that we need to revive. That's part of why I was so happy to see Charlie Kirk waking a few hearts up. But this kind of despair, that is not in my vocabulary. Now we're going to go back to January 6th again and tying this back together with Nancy Pelosi. This is Brandon Straka from Walkaway. He used to be a Democrat. Now he's a Republican. He was there on January 6th and imprisoned for protesting.
The Democrat Party is very quickly becoming the party of socialism and communism.
True.
People are seeing this very, very clearly. It's happening right here in New York City, where I am, fighting Zohran Mamdani. And so I think all that they really have is to try to vilify and demonize the Republican Party, because frankly, a lot of Americans are seeing that the Republican policies and Donald Trump's policies are making their lives better. They're making the economy better. People are coming over to our side in droves.
That's what James Carville is terrified of. That's what makes him so upset, is America's doing great. And that's why these two communists are on the docket leading.
And they're panicking. They're afraid. They should be panicking. Americans are going to reject socialism and communism. We don't want this from the Democrat Party.
And that's why the Democrat Party is losing, will continue to lose, because the Democrat Party is bury the needle left. Where's my proof? Here's more on the messaging. Remember what Nancy Pelosi said on that first clip about marketing, merchandising. These are the words they use. Here's that Brandon Johnson out of Chicago with a Jayapal next to him. Listen to this on Don't Call Them Illegal Aliens. It's racist.
Have illegal aliens. I don't know if that's
that's the legal term. I'm not going into political.
The legal term for my people were slaves. You want me to use that term too?
That's Brandon Johnson. We don't use the word illegal aliens. And the media guy, the guy across from him challenging him, said that's a legal term. And then he goes, well, the legal term for my people were slaves. Are we going to use that term? This is what I mean by Nancy Pelosi talking about branding, marketing. This is how Democrats merchandise their words. They did the same thing with saying, if you oppose gay marriage, then you also oppose interracial marriage. Remember when they tied those two? In other words, you're a racist slaveholder if you oppose gay marriage. Now he's going, if you use the term illegal alien, which is what an illegal alien is, they're illegals. He says you're racist. You're like someone who called people slaves.
So look, let's just get the language right. We're talking about undocumented individuals that are human beings. The last thing that I'm going to do is accept the type of racist, nasty language to describe human beings.
Racist, nasty, calling them an illegal alien, which is accurate, and they're human beings. Nothing about calling someone an illegal alien negates their humanity, by the way. Here's Michael Schellenberger, one of my favorite journalists, on the Democrat platform being dead. We're celebrating the death of a platform.
So as Trump kind of rewrites the rules for trade, for industrial policy, new technology, AI, immigration policy, the Democrats have a choice, you're saying. And basically, where do they stand here?
Candace Owens says AI is of the devil. It's demonic. And Trump is full on funding it and loves it and ushering it in.
Fork in the road.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, this is the big story, and it's a huge story, really, right? Because we know who the Republican Party is. We know what its agenda is. But the Democrats, I mean, the base is still stuck with the party of 2024, the party of woke, radical progressivism, but that has alienated most of the country. So you really only have like 35% of the country that's on board with that Democrat Party agenda.
Good. Let them lose forever. They have nothing. I'm going to do a final weird dark take. This is Andy McCarthy, who I quote a lot. I like him a lot. He's a constitutionalist, but he's wrong about Trump all the time. Here is the headline, which is all I'm going to read is just this headline from the National Review. These are the Never Trumpers, remember. Lawfare and immunity is the title of his article that Trump has immunity. How we got to Trump's lawless, lethal attacks on the high seas. Lawless, lethal attacks on the high seas. This is what the Never Trump old school Republican right, like Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, they say he is illegal. I give them the, hey, keep your point of view. You're allowed to have that. But they're more upset that Trump broke a law than that he's saving 150,000 lives a year, keeping people addicted to fentanyl. And so that's my defense of Trump. It's easy to defend him. I'm happy to champion the end of the Democrat Party. My people, will you not celebrate with me in the chat at the Democrat Party, terrified, in despair? James Carville, we have no hope, and that gives me hope. I'm Doug, In Exile. Subscribe.